let's see you're doing some kind of a meetup, right? And the person that's put the picture on the website that you are meeting is definitely not the person that walked in the door, right? Or you just feel uncomfortable. Or now you're in a situation. We've had to use it twice. They had got off the exit and came to the restaurant. She went into the bathroom and used the angel shot.
Welcome to another episode of The Den, brought to you by the Knox Fox Real Estate Group. I'm Eric Whitener, broker owner of the Knox Fox Real Estate Group, and this podcast is geared towards all things housing in our growing community in the greater Knoxville area. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Candace Viox, owner of Water and Wine Bistro and Lounge, located in Farragut Village Shopping Center at the corner of Campbell Station and Grigsby Chapel. Water and Wine is one of those places that I love to go there. It's kind of for Terry Jo and I, it's not a daily haunt for us. It's a special occasion. We drop in because we want to have a nice, relaxing time. So I'm really excited to have you here because
Thank you.
Just all the stuff that you bring. I think this podcast is going to be full of nuggets for a lot of different people.
Cool.
Again, another reason why I'm excited to have you on here too is because you're a local female business owner.
Yes.
So we're going to talk a lot about this stuff. First of all, let's just kind of dig into a little bit. How long have you been here? You currently live in Farragut.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so how long have you been here? Where'd you come from? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. I moved here in 1992. I don't know if you or your listeners remember the Rodney King beatings of California.
Yes.
But I grew up in Orange County, and that was in 1992, and my parents said, we're done. We're leaving. We're not safe here anymore. So my uncle owned the Outlets Limited Mall that back in the day, right, across from Cotton Eye Joe. And so we're moving to Knoxville. And I'm a senior in high school, so I was not happy about this move. But that's over 30 years ago, and here I am, and I'm still here in this beautiful place.
So I didn't know you had a connection to that center there.
Yeah,
That's
my Uncle Danny owned that back in the day.
Wow.
So yeah, fun times.
So you have history here before you were even here.
Absolutely, yes.
So, and you currently live in the Concord Hills neighborhood. Tell us a little bit about what it's like, because that's in my mind a kind of a unique neighborhood.
Old Farragut. It's wonderful. So our house is built in 1975. And with that comes, its issues. That needs to be an older home. But I'm one of the only houses left in Farragut that have full wood doors. So if you slam your finger in that or your ankle in that in the middle of the night, it hurts, right? We have a little over a half-acre lot, just old trees.
Lots of trees.
Just lots of trees, and it was just an old neighborhood. You could barely see the neighbors type of thing.
Yeah.
So for me, moving back to Farragut, I ended up, my parents moved to Lenore City back in the time in 92, and so I ended up finishing out my schooling at Lenore City High School. That was a culture shock. But eventually I moved to Farragut. We've been at Concord Hills now for about 10 years, and out of all the neighborhoods, for me, I wanted old Farragut, and that was it. It's absolutely beautiful.
It is. I have to agree. Correct me if I'm wrong. The neighborhood amenities. They have two pools over there.
No, we have the one pool. We have the tennis courts that they're in the process of. How HOAs love to magically get along. And so some people are wanting pickleball courts put in, others are not. So it's a fun little kind of back and forth right now. But eventually the olders are going to have to come around to pickleball because, it's actually turning out to be quite the social thing right now.
Oh, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. So you were here for a while before you opened Water and Wine.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So what kind of led you to that? How'd you get to that?
So when I was going through kind of a social reset is kind of how I'll explain it, in that my mother died in 2011, and it was unexpected. She wasn't sick. She went to the hospital, and next thing I know, she's gone. I'm also going through a divorce at that time, so I'm a mother of four. I was a foster parent for the state of Tennessee, and I ended up adopting several children, and 19 have been through my home. But I'm sitting here with four children going through a divorce, and I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with the rest of my life because I don't have my mom, and I've never owned a restaurant. I never experienced any of that. So I went back to school, right? That's what you do when you're in your 40s and actually late 30s. So I went back to college. So I was kind of the oldest person in the class, if you will. I ended up going back to Pellissippi. I knew I had a good business mind. I knew I had a marketing mind. But I was frustrated with our area of Farragut at the time. Now, mind you, this was 10 years ago. There weren't really any bars or restaurants, if you will, to hang out. So anytime you wanted a decent cocktail other than Jack and Coke, you had to go downtown. There was nowhere that had craft cocktails. A decent wine menu, you had Connor's maybe, and that was the only place that had a really good wine menu. So I saw a need in our area for a social element, and then I realized that I wanted to have a Farragut Cheers because I want a place where there's no TVs. I am sick of walking into bars and restaurants and you're hounded with 15 TVs in your face.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to disconnect, right? You got your phone in one hand and you can keep track of whatever. You got a TV. Well, that you're not going to talk to your neighbor. You're not going to find out what's going on in your town. So there were some, key elements when I decided that I was going to do something in Farragut. Didn't know where. I looked at Turkey Creek. I did a internship with Duran over at Seasons. Yeah. When he met with me, he said, I'm going to teach you everything not to do. So he was key in helping me create menu and just kind of how to set up kitchen. Again, I went to school, but that didn't mean that I had experience, right, work experience in it. So he afforded me that opportunity. I was with him over a year. And in the meantime, I was looking around and trying to find something in Farragut. And I knew I wanted small. I didn't want large. I don't want a huge building. I didn't want 5,000 square foot. I tell everybody I have a baby kitchen. I have a small little kitchen, which means, guess what? No fryers. Everything's baked, which means I have no walk-ins, which means I get fruits and veggies every day fresh. Everything comes in a scratch kitchen. So what you have one night for a special, you're probably not going to have tomorrow night because we've sold out of it because we only have 8 or 10 specials. Things like that I wanted to bring to the Farragut community. And then I found that place. Sam Mishu is the owner of the building, and he was amazing and helped negotiate. And next thing you know, I'm trying to open up a concept from scratch in a man's world. Most restaurants are owned by men in this area. Getting bourbon, I didn't realize that was an allocation that you have to be with the good old boys in order to get, pappy. So there was a lot of learning that I had to do. But I knew wine because I grew up in California, and that's kind of the joke. The weekends, and I was 12, 13, 14, my mom and I would go to Napa. And back in the 80s, they would let me taste wine. It wasn't like taboo.
Yeah.
The little communion cup type things, right? But I fell in love with the experience of tasting and wines and things like that. And so when I came here, I was like, I'm going to blow this wine menu out of the water. And that's why I have best wine menu 8 years in a row, because I know my wine.
That's awesome. That's
fun.
Awesome. Well, and I will attest that you have a pretty decent, not only your wine menu is great, but your bourbon's not bad either.
Thank you. It took a while.
You have definitely, you've definitely kind of cornered that. So tell a person, like, if somebody's not been to your place, what can they expect kind of walking in the door? Like, we've kind of got an idea of what the concept was, but what is it now?
So when you walk in, I want you to feel warmth. I want you to feel like you're walking into a neighborhood bar. I did the bar in the middle of the restaurant U-shaped on purpose because I wanted people to talk and actually see each other, but also not feel like you're in a bar. When you move to the South, bars come with kind of a stigma, a taboo, if you will. And I remind people, I didn't write the Bible. Christ's first miracle was turning water into wine. Take it up with Jesus. You know, I don't know why he chose that to be his first miracle, but he did. And so I wanted to make bars more of the community, social hangout. If you want to know what's going on at this building site, or you want to know what apartment complex is going in, or you want, everybody talks. Developers come in and then enjoy the old fashioned, right? We won best old fashioned 3 years in a row. So you've got that. You've got the real estate agents that come in and hang out. They meet people that are moving to the area. You've got the Californians that are here going, oh my God, what is, you know, why does everybody hate us, right? and then you've got the New Yorkers that are like, you know, why don't people drive faster?
Yeah.
You know, and so it's really kind of a fun mosh a group of people that come in and hang out. And so the center of the bar, and then as you walk to the back, there's more of a private area. So I have the couches and the chairs, and that's more for intimate or dates. We have some regulars that every, I want to say like first Saturday of the month, that's their date. They have 3 children. They go to St. John Newman. And so they always reserve the couch, and that's their kind of reset to, you know, plan vacations. So every time we see them, we give them hugs. But we know a lot of people. I'm going to say 60% of our clientele are regulars. And again, our restaurant and bar is located with walkability. Yeah. So we got the greenway in the back, we've got sidewalks, we got the bike racks in the front, we've got the patio, you can bring your dogs. So it definitely is the neighborhood and neighborhood bar, neighborhood restaurant, but you know, we're right off the freeway too. Yeah. So you get lots of people that are on their way. Even this last weekend, we had 2 groups of people from Canada. And they were heading up from Florida back to Canada. Wow. So that was cool. And yeah, so being right off the freeway, we get a lot of transient people, and then we have a lot of communities as well.
So it sounds like you really kind of hit the target that you were shooting for. I mean, I will admit, going in there, I mean, I feel like the first thing that we do when we write is, oh, there's so-and-so, and you go over and say
Absolutely.
hi. There's so-and-so, let's go say hi.
Yep.
Like, you spend the first couple of minutes just getting acquainted with who all's in the room.
Reconnecting, yes.
Reconnecting and all that. And so that's a lot of fun. And again, I can totally, I have sampled the old fashions, and they are delicious.
Thank you.
And I will say, there's something like, you don't actually even realize that there's no televisions. Like, because there's just, I don't know, just so much communication, so much kind of going.
So much chatter.
And it does give you an opportunity. Like, I would say it's a great kind of date spot, because it gives you an opportunity to talk to the person that you're with. And you also do like some fun themed stuff.
All the time.
So.
Yeah. Our Facebook page and website's the best to keep up. Like, we have live local music every Wednesday night from 7 to 10.
Which is not, there's not a lot of places around here to find live music. So
not in Farragut.
Yeah.
No, again, this is one of the things that you have to go somewhere else, or you end up going to some other area restaurants in our market, and they're screaming so loud at you with 8 guitars that you can't even speak to each other.
Yeah.
So you have that extreme.
It's more of a concert than it is
total concert on a stage, very loud, which is, you know, fine if you like that. But then ours is more on Saturday night. We've got acoustic jazz, so there's no singing at all, and they're in the ambiance. So that's kind of the nice nightcap before, you know, you go home. I don't know. I wanted to make sure that people could talk, and I wanted to make sure that TVs were not the center, and that you know, you were allowed that opportunity to connect and catch up with a friend that maybe you haven't seen in a while, or meet that new couple that just moved here and they're clueless. They don't know why we are not driving over 35 miles an hour. They don't understand why we're not honking at people. They don't understand why we can't make U-turns even though we have a green right arrow and they're about to die. You know, so some of these things, these social Southern things that when you're new to the area and you don't quite understand, you're going to be able to hang out at my restaurant or sit at the bar and talk to Karen, our Mama Kay. She's kind of the matriarch, and she'll tell you everything, what's going on and who you need to know, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, I will say that for me, that's kind of okay. So I moved to Western North Carolina, to Asheville back, what, 98 or whatever. And then I moved back to Florida and lived in Ocala for a few years. And then I moved back to this area. So Knoxville, if you're not familiar, Knoxville is a little over 2 hours away from Asheville. It's basically on the other side of the mountain. Um, and the reason why was because of the ability to connect with people. Florida is just very transient. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you just, there's no, people aren't as, I'm not gonna say not as welcoming, but you just don't open up a conversation with just everybody. Here, a place like that, if you're a newbie to the area, you can go and make instant connections, make friends, get to know somebody, and have just have your people, right?
Absolutely.
It's a great way, and that's what I like about this whole region, but specifically places like yours that foster that kind of relationship. So, but it's also a safe place.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
tell because this is something that I think is missed on a lot of people, and it's definitely in today's age something that, it, again, you have a business, you're a woman-owned business, and you wanted certain things that you couldn't find in the marketplace.
Right.
So talk about this.
So when I was going through my divorce, like I said, now mind you, this was over 11, 12 years ago at this point. And yes, we're still friends. But when I was going through my divorce, I was continually irritated because I would sit at a bar and cry in my beer, if you will. Maybe I'd bring a book. Maybe I just wanted to sit there. But men assumed, number one, I wanted to talk to them. Men assumed, number two, that I want to sit by them. Men assumed, number three, that I can't afford or buy my own drink, right? Men saw me as this poor, lonely, single girl crying in her beer that obviously needed something. Well, I'm a very strong woman, okay? So
I can attest to that.
Yes. And so I would just get irritated with this. And at the time, there was a bartender who, she's still in the area, but I would just tell her, if somebody wants to buy me a drink or somebody wants to sit by me, the answer is no. And if somebody sits by me and assumes I want to talk to them, I'll get up and leave. And so it wasn't, I love people talking, right? I just said, I want you to be able to come to the bar and talk. But the problem was my space, my personal space, I feel was not being respected. And so going through all of that, we have a rule at my bar. If there is a lady sitting by herself and a gentleman is sitting across the bar, and most of the regular men in our area know this now, so I don't really have to deal with this as much as I did when I first opened. But when a lady's sitting there by herself enjoying her book, or maybe she's on her laptop or on her phone, whatever she's doing, and a man walks in and he wants to buy her a drink, my team immediately asks the lady if she would like a drink from the gentleman across the bar or down from the bar. We don't ever assume that she wants that drink. So when we ask the woman, if the woman says, no, I'm sorry, I wouldn't, again, you don't know if she's married. You don't know if she just had a miscarriage. You don't know if she just lost her job. You have no idea what that woman is going through. And to be assumptive that she needs you or wants a drink from you, to me, is just a violation of my personal space. So I made it a rule at our restaurant, and now with men offered, the lady says no, we kindly tell the gentleman, I'm sorry, but she would not like a drink from you, and we all move on with our evening. It's not an issue, and the lady is no longer, feeling like she has to have a conversation with somebody or thank somebody for something, and every once in a while, the lady will say yes. And then the next thing you know, they're smiling across the bar, and then he comes over and sits, and then who knows after that. But we just are respectful and mindful of women in our area, so we become a safe space.
And that is so awesome. So okay. So from my standpoint, I like to think about when you give somebody something unexpected like that, assuming that they may want it, but then there's also this feeling of now I have to show some sort of
Gesture,
you
thankfulness.
put this person in an awkward position.
Absolutely, yes.
Of needing to somehow respond
Yes.
to that quote unquote gift. that they didn't ask for. So that is awesome. There, you also mentioned something earlier before we got started about what was it, Angel? Something help me out here.
Oh, yeah. So we also, if you go online, we are a safe connection space for online dating. And so we have this program. It's called the Angel Shot, and we started that actually with Kevin, my previous bar manager, and he was from Miami. And what it is, if let's see you're doing some kind of a meetup, right? And the person that's put the picture on the website that you are meeting is definitely not the person that walked in the door, right? Or you just feel uncomfortable, or now you're in a situation. We've had to use it twice. One, the Knox County Sheriff said it was a trafficking. They had got off the exit and came to the restaurant. She went into the bathroom and used the Angel Shot. And what you do is, my team members stay kind of in the back in the server alley, and the restrooms are right there. And when you come out of the restroom, if you say, I'd like an Angel Shot, at that point, my team will escort you out the back of the restaurant and find out what's going on. Do we need to call an Uber? Do you want to call a sister or a friend or a dad or somebody? And then you go out the back of the restaurant and you get in the car and you leave. In the meantime, my bartender is talking to the male or the female.
Yeah.
That has no idea what's going on. So we're just kind of chatting it up while they're kind of not noticing that something's going on. And all of a sudden, that human, male or female, is escorted out of the restaurant into a safe environment. And then my team tells the person, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, the person that you were meeting had to leave the restaurant. I've even had my team members go and get their purse and say there was a personal moment. Again, because women have personal moments that men don't have necessarily. So yeah, it's called the Angel Shot. It was featured on the local news. Now everybody kind of knows about it. But if they order it quietly, we have team in place to be able to help them get out of the restaurant.
That's awesome. I've never heard anything about that before. That's really kind of a first for me. But that concept is so awesome because you put people in between the scenario. It's no longer awkward for that person.
No.
They can get out, and
Yes.
honestly, probably helps avoid any sort of scene or and in that circumstance you probably saved that lady's life. I mean,
Again, Jesus is welcome at my bar.
that is amazing, and those are things that I think a lot of people don't think about, but you can feel that when you walk into your place. You can feel that it is, it's kind of I can kind of relax, be me.
Yes.
And I know, there's different strokes for different folks, and also a time and a place for everything. So, there may be that night you want to go to, the place that has the band, and you just want to, drink, dollar beer night, if that's still a thing. I don't know if you can get dollar beers anymore.
That'd be hard.
Yeah, but and listen to the band. And then there's also the time and place where, if you want to just go have a relaxing evening and talk with friends, then your place is obviously a great place for that.
Yeah, with amazing food.
With amazing food.
Yes.
This is true. Tell us a little bit about the menu. How does that work?
So, like I said earlier, I want the best ingredients, period. So Norwegian salmon, the chicken, the breasts come in every other day and we cook them off. Even the pork, things local like Buckhead Meats, they're our butcher. Okay. So we get all of our fillets directly from Kentucky. They show up every Tuesday and Friday for the filet medallions that we have. It costs more money and it is more expensive, but I'm of the opinion if I can't get you guys good quality, I'm just not going to serve it. So if the red snapper comes in and we don't like the quality of it, the same red snapper that you get over at Shrimp Dock, okay, we all have the same suppliers. Chesapeake's is another. All the fish comes from the same. But if there's a fish that comes in that we're not happy with, I don't serve it. I may end up donating it. I may end up letting my team take it home. I'm not going to give it to you. Gotcha. So these are the things with having daily fresh, we don't have large walk-ins, right? So I can't store massive amounts of things. I don't have walk-in freezers. So everything has to come in fresh. So our veggies, Rhonda makes soup fresh every day. We make all of our own jams for the charcuterie boards. We slice all of our own charcuterie charcuterie meat. We do all the extra steps of quality for our food. Wine bars in California don't usually have a full menu, right? Wine bars usually are cheese charcuterie.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that if we did have a menu 8 years ago, it was just spectacular food. So that's what we did. So our menu's not as large, if you will, but what we do offer is amazing.
So I'm noticing a common theme. Great wine, great old fashions and bourbon, and really good food. So those are all
And
like,
amazing cocktails.
yeah.
You don't have to go downtown to get a martini anymore.
No.
Yay!
No, and I mean, again, there's a time and a place for everything. Every once in a while, it's nice to trek downtown, but man, every once in a while, it is nice to not.
In your backyard.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely nice to not.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about the process, the actual physical process of starting the business, because one thing that I know Farragut gets a lot of heat or whatever you want to call it, grief, is on their business friendliness. What was your experience in that department?
So I would say I've done a lot of research and I am very involved with our Farragut community and the politics of Farragut, the Farragut Business Alliance. I am definitely plugged in and I keep up with what's going on in my town. I love my town. I'm excited about some of the growth in our town. I'm worried about some of the growth in our town. So I share a lot of pessimism, but I'm also excited about some of the things happening. So I get all of that. But I'm going to say back in the old days, when I've been doing some research on our previous mayors, whether it be Eddie Ford and the Horn group back, I'm going to say 20-ish years ago, and then what Ralph or Mayor McGill started with his wife and kind of their group with, I'm going to say, just for the sake of conversation, 10 to 12, where they wanted to be a walkable, a lot of parks. They had a vision with McGill when he was our mayor, and then how Mayor Williams has kind of taken that and continued to, I'm going to say, peel the onion, right? So we knew Farragut needed help, right? We knew that Walmart was ran out, if you will, 20 years ago, whether it because of a sign ordinance, whether it because of the old-fashioned, whatever. You're going to get 18 stories from 18 different people of what was going on in Farragut during the Fox Den boom, during the Concord Hills, the 70s and 80s, and kind of what was going on. When I was applying for my business license, now mind you, this was 2016, there were only, at the time, 3 or 4 wine and liquor licenses available, okay? They definitely wanted to keep it rural back in the day. They wanted to keep it more farms. They didn't really want a lot of development. Well, these are the old family farmers of the time. Most of them have either died and their kids have taken over the farms, or most of them have kept a little small parcel, kind of like the Price farm, for their family, but then sold off other plots of their farm and all of this growth and things that are happening. So Louise Pavlin, when I stood before and I asked for a license, I was one of the last ones at the time, and again, Farragut didn't want bars, right? Farragut didn't want these people. If you hear from some people, they ran off the Aubreys or they ran off, whatever. You're going to hear all these stories of what actually happened. For me, I stood before the Board of Mayor Aldermen. I shared with them my business plan. I shared with them my vision. I wasn't going to be a bar that was going to be open till 2 a.m. doing shots of Jägermeister with metal bands all night long, right? We already have one of those.
Yeah.
It's like 2 blocks down,
Yeah.
right? I'm not that. So I kind of just had to convince them, even though I thought it was odd because last time I checked, Cotton Eye Joe is located in the Farragut
Yes.
lines. there's a whole lot of stuff that happens at the Joe, right? So I wasn't quite sure.
It's on the other side of the
Yeah,
interstate.
I know. So I wasn't quite sure if they were going to like me or not like me. Was I going to be a bar? Was I going to be accepted as a restaurant? Were they going to, put me on fire at the stake? Louise just loved my concept. She was excited about having a woman-owned business in Farragut. She was very supportive. And the next thing you know, after I talked to everybody, Ron Pinchuk was there. He's no longer, but and then of course Mayor Williams, and then there was one of the brothers,
Myers.
Okay. And so yeah, they asked some hard questions. When do you plan on closing? Because you know why? I tell my team members, I don't want you leaving my restaurant and killing a family.
Yeah.
We don't overserve at my restaurant. I have a little cube on my bar that says, be courteous, be respectful, be kind. And if there's a regular and they are overserved, it is, you're not getting any more until you eat food. And then I'm calling my husband or Uber and we're getting them home safely. I don't want them driving in our community and putting anybody at risk.
Yeah.
And all I got to say is, do you want to kill your grandma? Really? I mean, is this last glass of wine worth hurting a family? Generally, the people in the area get it, where other places don't cut off and they're not responsible, right? So with all of this, I had to convince the town that I was not going to be a loud, disrespectful, dangerous bar right off the interstate. And Louise kind of went to bat for me with that. And I've been able to show the town and show everybody in Farragut that I am a safe space. And I do care about my community. And I do not overserve. And if that makes you mad, I'm sorry. There are other places you can go that probably won't care.
Well, I think a lot of that, I mean, that's an awesome story. I'm glad that you were able to get that sort of response.
They just had a lot of questions and I had to answer them. I think that's important.
I think it also adds to the fact that you are really rooted in the community. This isn't, it's not like you're somebody who maybe is out of town who wants to just open a business here because it's an opportunity to make money.
Right. Or I have 3 other businesses that I'm trying to operate and this is just one other. No, this is my livelihood. This is my creation. This is the only job that I do. That's why you're going to see me there 6 days a week.
And if you're like me, this is also my community.
Absolutely.
And so trying to be, which is also one of the things that I really do appreciate about you, is there are a lot of businesses in this area, and there are a lot of people that live in this community that all have something to say. They all have something to say. But I rarely see them at a lot of the moments when it matters. Like this last weekend, I've got video of you sanding boards for Sleep in Heavenly Peace to help build beds.
Absolutely.
Because you're a member of Rotary, and that was a big Rotary project. You are basically at this moment the head of the FBA, the Farragut Business Alliance, and I don't even know what else
the Shepherd of Hope Food Pantry. I get regular juices like cranberry juice and pineapple juice because they're canned, and the kids can put those in their lunches or have them for the school. So Matt Beeler from Big Kahuna Wings and myself, we bought a trailer. We had it wrapped by Graphic Creations, Jim, who is a local as well. Yeah. And we wrapped the whole thing. We gave it to the church, and now they can go around and pick up all the food that everybody donates for our local food pantry. And when you think there's nobody poor in Farragut, or there's nobody that needs food in our community, yeah, there are. There are a lot of older people that live on a fixed income, whether it be Social Security income. Farragut has some old ranchers, some old homes, some families that have been in their homes 40, 50 years that have their steps that are dilapidated that we need to help fix, whether it be their roofs are leaking or they don't have food. So when you live in your little arrogant bubble that Farragut's rich and we're all a bunch of rich people and we don't care about anybody, that's very frustrating for me.
It is. And honestly, it's like you said, it's not necessarily accurate. And you wouldn't know that unless you got involved.
You got to get involved.
And you learn so much being involved. Again, another part of community. Like if you're going to be an active business owner, I always feel like if you're going to more or less profit from the community, then you need to pour it into the community. And so like that's something I really appreciate about you. Um, uh, One thing I want to ask, a little bit more about water into wine and your journey that you've had. What advice would you give for another aspiring woman who wants to maybe open a restaurant similar or just a business in general? Like, based on your experience, what would you tell that person?
Again, you have to intern. You have to be in the. If I were to say to you, I want to be a real estate agent. Okay, your first things Terry Joe would probably say to me something like, well, these are the steps that you have to get for the schooling to learn how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know how to do it, or you don't go do it, right? And then all of a sudden you get your little certificate that you hang on your wall and you say, I'm a real estate agent. But you have no idea how to do a safe open house, right? You have no idea what to expect if somebody's going to be coming in and going through someone's closet and stealing their jewelry, right? I mean, there are things that you and Terry Joe have learned over the years of being a real estate agent.
Oh, yeah.
So no matter what you want to do, if you want to own a restaurant, come intern with me. I gladly share how to do all of these steps, no different than Duran did for me. If you want to go into and you want to open a boutique, go work in one. See how do you order? How do you deal with deliveries? How much do I have to pay in taxes?
Right.
How much is labor, right? And so I was having a conversation with literally a young lady in college, and we're starting some of the process. I want to open a business. And so I'm explaining to her, the first step of monies in a restaurant that goes cost of goods sold. I have to buy wine. I have to buy food. I have to buy liquor in order to sell you, right? So cost of goods sold is something you have to find. You know what the second thing is you have to have at a restaurant? You got to have labor. You got to have the people. And so labor used to be, I could get a high school kid doing dishes for maybe $10, $12 an hour back in the day when I first opened. I'm paying $15 to $18 an hour now. Labor has all gone up. Rent has gone up, right? Can you imagine what what is it, Tupelo Honey is going to be paying a square foot for those restaurants? I can't even afford to be in that restaurant, in that new apartment complex, right? So these are the things that you have to consider. So just because you want to do something or you think you want to do something, you have to do the work, the back end work to make sure. The commitment. Eric, how many times do you come into my restaurant and I'm not there? Okay, I'm there all the time because I'm making sure, number one, my patrons are taken care of. My team's amazing. I trust them, but they want to see me sometimes.
Yeah.
They want to talk to me about, will you give me a gift basket for my charity? St. John Newman will come in and they've got a big event going on and they need to earn money for new volleyball nets. Who knows what's going on? But if I'm not in my community, how am I going to know what my community needs? Right? So service above self, that's why I'm in Rotary. That's why I love talking with my political leaders. That's why I love being a part of everything because, again, I can touch and care and share with everybody.
So I'm assuming you're a bit like us, where you've been in this now. How long have you been open again?
We're coming up on our 8-year birthday.
8 year.
So we
awesome.
had our eight Christmas, and we survived COVID, and we got over the 1,000-day hump. That's kind of the rule of thumb in restaurant land. If you have a new concept, if it's alive and you're in the black in 1,000 days, then you have something worth.
Well, to that point. So number one, restaurants in our area struggle, like because there are a lot of restaurants.
Over 485 currently in Knoxville.
Okay, so there are a lot of restaurants.
Yes.
And so it's not uncommon to see something come and see it go. Same thing in real estate. Where's over 6,000 real estate agents in our local area, and the majority of them won't make it. And I would say it is people get into business sometimes for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, because you're gonna get something that's gonna blindside you. There's gonna be something that you didn't expect that's going to come up, and you're going to either A, have to pay for it, or B, work through it, or you're going to have
Hire
to
an attorney.
you're going to have to do something. Yeah, you're going to have to
Exactly.
do something
Right.
that you didn't expect and you don't want to do. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle, because they think it's going to be, hey, I have this concept, it's going to make a ton of money, right? And then they just go off with that. So
Or they move here from out of state and they don't understand our rules, our codes, our laws, the way that we do things.
Yeah.
So they come from other states and they were successful business owners in Texas, right? Or California or whatever. But then coming to Farragut or coming to Knoxville or just the state of Tennessee, we do things a lot different. And some of the laws don't make sense. And some of them are really old and archaic and need to change. Well, the only way to change that is to vote. So that's another thing I have a loud mouth about.
Well, and there's also something to be said for, just because that's how you did it there doesn't mean it
Absolutely.
has to be done the same way here. Again, in real estate, like, just comparing the two, we're dealing with a lot of stuff in our industry currently. There are a lot of these lawsuits going around. None of them are in the state of Tennessee, and there's a reason. It's because we do real estate different, and we've adopted, buyer agency and stuff like that back in the mid '90s.
Right.
So we just do a lot of things different. So when people come from and I think some people have this perception that Southerners are dumb.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's really unfortunate, because that's not the case at all.
No.
There's a lot of very smart. There's a lot of smart, wealthy people. There's a lot of. I mean, there's a lot more to that. But I think that's a very poor misconception that people have.
Absolutely.
So, kind of, I want to just kind of, well, before we move on, is there anything else you'd like to say? Like, this is your time to shine. Is there anything that you want to say about Water into Wine or your business? And we're kind of dig into some other stuff.
So, Water into Wine. I was brought up in a very loud Pentecostal church, okay? And that means where people in Tennessee yell for the UT Vols, we were on Sunday yelling for Jesus, okay? So that's kind of where my loud mouth and my spunk, if you will, comes from. And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, Christ told us to go into the world and love the broken and the hurting. And I remind people all the time, my Christ hung out with like the prostitute at the well, right? And my Christ chose 12 disciples to be his best buds, knowing they were going to deny him, they were going to sell him out, and they were going to doubt when he came back on the scene, right, with doubting Thomas. But he still hung out with him anyway. And so when Christ tells us to love the orphans and the widows, I take that literally. So I have a huge widow outreach at Water into Wine. We have Bible study every Monday at noon. I wanted to make sure that if Christ walked into my bar or came and sat up at a table, that he would feel loved and accepted, that he would feel like, wow, this place is a different kind of place. And even if Jesus is drinking his water, if you believe that, or if Jesus is drinking his wine, if you believe that, I really don't care. I just want to make sure that everybody that comes into Water into Wine feels something, feels like they're special and that they're going to get through it. And I always say, that woman, again, like I said earlier, that's going through, she just lost her child, or he just lost his job. Sometimes when you don't understand God and you ask those questions, why me? Why is this happening? And you want to have a glass of wine or two, I want you to walk into my bathroom at Water into Wine, and you're going to look around on the wall, and you're going to be given scripture, and you're going to be given encouragement, and you're going to hopefully be able to wipe those tears, look in that mirror, and know you're going to get through it, and everything's going to be okay. And if you want to do that with a glass of wine or two glasses of wine, That's okay. So anyways, that was kind of the thought, is I wanted to make sure that if Jesus walked in, he wouldn't be shunned, or he wouldn't be, when people drive by and they say, oh, I don't go in that place. That's that bar where all those, people hang out.
Heathens.
Oh yeah, those heathens, and I'm just sitting here and I'm going, no, we're not. We're sinners. We're all sinners. We're all on this little journey called life. We all need Jesus. I just happen to offer Jesus at a place called Water into Wine. And half the people don't even, I don't even care if you're an atheist or agnostic. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be loved. You're still going to be accepted.
Well, in I would say the fact that your establishment is so community based and people form relationships and feel open to talk, that it's probably a place where a certain amount of maybe healing kind of happens, because when somebody has the ability to talk and let go in a quote unquote safe place, they magically start to feel better. Things start to get better.
If you allow the Holy Spirit into your job, or into your school, or into your place of business, or into your restaurant, the Holy Spirit will come. And I always tell people all the time, I love it when God shows up and shows off. It's so cool. It's so cool to see two people. And this just happened on Wednesday. I had one lady who is very liberal in her thoughts and ideas, and I had another lady to my left, very conservative in her thoughts and ideas. And you know what? They were able to have a conversation. Right? They didn't hate each other. They didn't, I hate Trump, well, I hate Biden. There was none of that. There were two adults able to have conversations, socially different spectrums, but they respected each other. That's what Water into Wine is.
And to be honest with you, I think, man, like, I love social media and I hate social media at the same time. I feel like most of the world's problems could probably be solved in an establishment like that. I mean, because truth be known, we all sit and say, well, so and so is a dummy, and how could you think this way? But then when you actually meet and talk to somebody, and it's funny how what we say versus what we type can be very different, and so much judgment out there, that it's nice to be, again, I think we could just solve a lot of the world's problems if we could just sit and talk about it over wine, beer, bourbon, scotch,
water,
you name
Diet
it.
Coke.
You name it.
I got it all. I got iced tea too.
But correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have Miller Lite.
I don't think we have Miller
Like,
Lite.
okay.
Again, I don't do all I do is wine, Eric. I don't even do cocktails.
You do have you do have some good beers though.
I do.
Yeah.
I try to support local handles. So I don't know, that Zool beer. We had that peanut butter and jelly beer. Shoot, that didn't last 48 hours. That was gone. They delivered it and it was gone by Saturday. So
I met somebody over the weekend who we were at a friend's house for a little party, and excuse me, she had Zool beer, and what was hers? It was like cobbler, like raspberry cobbler or something like
or
that.
peach cobbler. That's one.
It wasn't peach though. It was red. But I'm gonna tell you what, it tasted just like a cobbler.
I know.
It was crazy.
I know.
So.
And once the youngers saw the handle, they all started hashtagging Water into Wine, and I swear there were a plethora of late 20s, early 30s coming in to get PB&J.
So interesting. Okay, so I want to take a few minutes and talk about Farragut Business Alliance.
Sure.
Because I think this is an opportunity where, an organization that I don't think a lot of people fully understand what it is and what it does. And if we can, just for just a few minutes, what if you were to try to explain what Farragut Business Alliance is to somebody, how would you introduce them to it?
So the way that I explain Farragut Business Alliance to people, Farragut Business Alliance is made up of individuals in the Farragut community that volunteer to be part of a board that assists our board and mayor aldermen and assists our town of Farragut with needs that we need for our businesses, whether that be infrastructure, whether that be tax consideration, whether that be the crosswalk things that we needed to be able to get safely to 35 North. Farragut Business Alliance offers insight from Farragut businesses. That's one of the requirements. You have to be in Farragut. And either David Smoke from the town, maybe Trevor Hobbs, maybe even the mayor or vice mayor, they will attend the meetings, and it's an opportunity for 12 to 15 Farragut businesses to share about, are we up in sales? Or are we down? Do we need more signage consideration? What are the businesses needing in Farragut? That's what Farragut Business Alliance is. And the reason why it's different. So Visit Farragut, they are geared and to visitors that are coming to our area. But Visit Farragut are all employees of the government, okay? So they will do whatever the government needs them to do, right? Parks and Rec, that is also an important integral part of Farragut. And they also are employees of the government. Their checks come from the government, okay, from the town. Where Farragut Business Alliance, we are not run by the government. The government subsidizes and supports us in our events like Doc Dogs, right, that helps the community. Our Health and Wellness Expo, which this third year was one of the best ones we've ever had. So putting on events like our Harvest Festival, these are all things that the Farragut Business Alliance, we put on for helping our community and helping our business. That's one of our goals at Farragut Business Alliance.
To drive traffic.
To our shopping centers. Absolutely. To let people know this is what we offer in our town, right? Even if we go to the parks and do things like that. We have the opportunity to do that at the Farragut Business Alliance, but we're not told by the government what we can or can't do, or where we must host it, or who we must reach out to, who we're going to feature on our business page, who are we going to interview. Farragut Business Alliance, we get to talk to all the businesses. We get to share everybody's Facebook post, whether we like, agree, or not, whether they voted for us or not. None of that impacts the Farragut Business Alliance. Where Visit Farragut, again, the town pays their check. The Parks and Rec, the town pays their check. Farragut Business Alliance are independent business owners that volunteer our time with the support of the town. Does that make sense?
It does. So outside of events, because obviously events have been a major focus for the last couple of years, which are great and fun. But would you consider the FBA to be sort of a business almost like advocacy? Like,
absolutely.
Like if you're having an issue or don't understand something, or need assistance, you could reach out to the FBA and get help in those regards.
Yes. And so Steve is our point of contact. So if you're new to the area and you want to ask about a business license, or you want to get in contact with Trevor Hobbs, who's the business liaison, those are the conversations that Steve can help orchestrate, right? Also, the Farragut West Knox Chamber. That is another really cool point, if you will, of our neighborhood for businesses to be able to connect. The difference is the Farragut West Knox Chamber, there's a fee, right? And the Farragut West Knox Chamber, less than 40%, I think she said recently 45% before BOMA are Farragut businesses. The other 60% of the West Knox Chamber are funded and supported by outside of Farragut. So the town of Farragut wanted, per BOMA's request, to have a business-centered organization that only focuses on Farragut businesses. And so when Louise Pavlin made that kind of a point of direction that she wanted to see BOMA or FBA kind of pivot to and create.
Focus on.
Yeah, we took that to heart, and that's where we started changing the way. So we do Shop Farragut. Before Shop Farragut, businesses would donate gift cards or they would donate swag, right? Well, COVID happened. We don't have the money anymore to be able just to give out 5 or 4 $25 gift cards, right? Duran at Seasons can give out gift cards, but after a while, those get expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So now, with the monies from BOMA that help us with the Shop Farragut program, Steve can come in and buy Water into Wine gift cards for $25 or buy Seasons gift cards. We can purchase things now, so we're not asking our businesses to put themselves out because the town is supporting the businesses. So these are the things that Farragut Business Alliance does with our campaigns.
But so one thing that for somebody who's listening to this who doesn't realize, when you live in Farragut, you do not pay an extra property tax.
Right.
You do get the benefit of Parks and Rec. We have beautiful parks. We have, I mean, there's a lot of things you get by living in Farragut that the rest of Knox County doesn't. I mean, they get to come and enjoy it, but they don't have it in their backyard. But the reason why the town is able to do that without an additional property tax is because they get their money through sales tax revenue.
Yes.
And then what I like about this concept is it's to the town's advantage to then turn around and support local business. They want you to be successful. They can't make you be successful, but they want you to be successful. They want you to sell more stuff and make money because that increases tax revenue, which then pays for all of the facilities and the people, and without putting an extra burden on the homeowners.
Right.
And so it is great. Just like you described it, they hit it from all angles. You have, Visit Farragut, who's trying to bring people from outside of Farragut into, places like your establishment.
And just spend money. What, we have 7, 8 hotels in our area?
Yeah.
I want them to come to my wine bar. Absolutely.
And then you have, the Farragut Business Alliance, or what most people would know it as is probably Shop Farragut, because that's what most of the signs that are publicly displayed. Helping local businesses and trying to also, promote them in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's just by taking advantage of opportunities for some additional signage, because signs are something that are another bone of contention for a lot of business owners in Farragut, but it's also part of what makes Farragut unique and pretty.
Yeah.
So it's, there's these things, but the town does work within avenues to try to help these businesses. I've done a lot of stuff with the Farragut Chamber over the years. It's a great organization. It's a great organization if you're, a business looking to, connect with other business people. It does cost a fee. It depends on the size of your business, what that fee is. But
the connections are priceless that Farragut West Knox Chamber offers.
I mean, it's a very good organization. Been a member a long time. Terry Joe just rolled off the board, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's
Julie does a great job too.
Yeah. So we have so much here.
We do.
And it's pretty awesome, because I just feel like you start a business elsewhere. You maybe you have a local some sort of association, or maybe not, but here you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, there may be challenges, but there are lots of avenues to try to help make up for that. Okay, so this has been awesome. I want to ask a few other questions. Obviously, I know you have high standards. You like good wine, good food, but
good shoes, good bags. Come on, Eric.
Yeah. So when you're not at your restaurant, if you're not at your place, where would you go? If I was somebody coming into town and I was like, hey, where should I go eat outside of your place? Where would you point them?
So my rule of thumb, I'll give an opportunity twice. Okay, that's just me. Especially if it's a new place, I may do 3, because opening new, that's hard. And fair. Finding staff and that's hard. I've been there, right? But I love local. For me, I'm a local supporting local. That's my handle and hashtag that you'll see all the time, whether it be I'm shopping at a local boutique or Knox Health and Wellness is doing my massage. I've got the ladies over next to Ingles doing my toes. I like shopping local because, again, these are people in my community and I want to support them. So when I see a cool business come up, like right now, I'm in love with Adobo. I've been in love with Adobo. But some regulars came in and told me about it. And then Brian and his wife came to my restaurant, and that's kind of how we connected. And I saw what he was doing kind of at a time where that part of that area of Knoxville was a little scary. There's a lot of homeless shelters. There were some a lot of dilapidated and empty buildings.
Yeah.
There were some areas of Knoxville that were a little hard to enjoy yourself walking, and 8 years ago.
Sketchy.
A little bit, 7, 8 years ago. So to see what they've done in that community and how they've helped and grown, I've been with them pretty much since they opened. And so seeing that so even though they're not local, they're still Knoxville.
Yeah.
So for me, it's husband and wife teams, maybe other women that are opening, like the chicken, I forget, the poke bowl. That's a husband and wife. No.
Fin pokey, is that what you're talking about?
That one's good too. But there's the one over next to where Toys R Us used to be. Oh my goodness! Stir fry. Do you guys know the name? Stir fry?
I'm not familiar with
Anyway,
that.
okay. Anyways, it's another one that's really good. That he and his wife come into the restaurant all the time. So when you get in this kind of industry and you go to other places, I'm always taking pictures of the menu. I want to see what's trending. What are they charging for drinks? What are they? We call it recognizance, kind of FBI. We're checking out the people. But Adobo is my little favorite place right now that I love to. It gets me downtown. So
what are you gonna get at Adobo? Like what?
Oh, I get that pizzacletta that's got the pancetta on top with the white sauce and the arugula and the lemon. And I also love that charcuterie board that's got those amazing olives that Brian makes, and he won't tell me what's in them, but they're so yummy. But it's just, if we're going downtown, for the theater or a concert or something like that, that's always our stop.
My understanding is the background story to that is he actually went to
Italy, yeah.
Learned the craft, and then brought the oven.
You remember, I just said earlier, if you want to open a business, what business ideas or suggestions would you give? He took it to another level.
Yeah.
He went to freaking Italy and learned, and then ended up bringing over the equipment. So that's commitment at that point.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. All right, so we got the restaurant question down. So local activity thing. What do you like to do in Knoxville? Like outside of work, where do you spend your leisure time or fun time?
Other than working out at Fort Sanders, because I love the gym, and I love all my olders, because all my olders hang out at the gym, and then they all come in and get happy hour. So I get to see everybody at workout step, and then they all come to the restaurant. So that's fun. No, I know this sounds crazy, but I love pickleball. Who would have thunk this, right? So I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago, during the whole COVID thing, pickleball was just kind of starting off in Florida with some of our friends, Arlene and Scott.
Yes.
I think you remember them. And
yeah.
So they were talking about this pickleball thing, and I'm like, I played tennis. Like, I don't, what do you, it's like ping pong on a, what are you guys talking about? So I just kind of shoved it off. And I told Richard, I'm like, I told you, we should have done a pickleball bar, because one's coming. One's coming
really?
to Knoxville. Yeah. I can't tell you where it's at yet, but they're in the process of zoning. It's going to be in the Cedar Bluff-ish, kind of a Pellissippi. Yeah, it's going to be a pickleball bar and restaurant. So you're going to be able to sit there and get on the court, which I think is going to be fun. Could you imagine playing after 2 glasses of wine? I think we might have some injuries. Just saying. Benchmark might get a few more people. But anyway, so pickleball has turned, and I was one of those little people that I was like, pickleball's for old people. I don't understand. But now I'm going to McPhee Park and I'm playing pickleball, and I'll be darned. They're 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Now mind you, they spike and scare me, and like, wow, I don't do that.
A little more aggressive.
A little bit more aggressive. But no, it's turned out to be a really fun community, all age group thing. And it made me think of bowling. Remember back in the day where you'd have, the teenagers that were hanging out there for their date night, and it only cost $1.50, right? And then you have the older people that were the league. But it's just, bowling just kind of brought all these all age groups together, and pickleball
Does
seems
the
to be
same
it
thing.
right now.
I guess I didn't realize pickleball was picking up steam with the younger folks.
I didn't either. I didn't either. I was surprised.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been here a long time. You moved here from California. We've seen a lot of other people move here from California recently. We're going to continue to see people move here. But if you were talking to a friend who is thinking about moving here, and they're considering making the move, what would you tell them? What would you tell them to expect, or what?
I brag on our area so much. We have the most beautiful lakes and river system. I was just talking about this the other day, actually, with a couple that's thinking about moving here from Pennsylvania, I want to say. They're down with a real estate agent looking around. And I'm like, so we've got Lake Norris, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got Tellico Village, right? Then we've got the Tennessee River. We've got the Concord area. We have these lakes everywhere. Then you can go less than an hour. You're going to be able to be in Townsend. You're going to be able to float down a little river if you want to, right? Yeah. Then you're going to be able to drive another 20 minutes, and you're going to be in the Great Smoky Mountain Park, where you're going to be able to hike all day if that's your thing. Not mine, but whatever. So then you got all of this, right? And I'm thinking to myself, we have just this vast opportunity. And then, we're 2.5 hours from Nashville. We're 2.5 hours from Atlanta. We're 6 hours from the beach. We're 6 hours from Ohio. I mean, we are like this little bitty baby hub in the middle of all the way to Maine, all the way down to, California, if you want to go down 40, right?
Yeah.
It goes all the way across the country for that matter. So, we are kind of this little state. We don't have a stupid state income tax. We're actually able to budget. Like most states cannot, but we actually have a good budget. We have good conservative values in that we respect your rights. We respect your Second Amendment rights. We want your kids to be educated. There's just all these kind of social issues that are so awesome in this community. And so whenever I start sharing about how awesome our area is, all the locals around me at the bar grab my leg, or they give me that eye. Stop talking about our state. But our state and this area in particular is just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful.
It is. It's funny to me how, man, for so long, it was like, I felt like we were this hidden gem, this hidden secret.
Dilapidated. Even Mayor Williams said we had all these broken buildings.
Yeah.
We had the old gas station at the corner. We were so sad 15 years ago.
But now we've gotten to a point where people are like, hey, let's not tell anybody else about it.
Too late.
But the fact of the matter is we do have a lot of great things going on. Now, not to make it sound like it's all rainbows and unicorns. I mean, we do have
traffic.
We do have traffic. We do. You get downtown Knoxville, you are going to see homeless people. You might see some at the interstate.
Overcrowded schools.
Yeah, we have traditional issues. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has. I do think that we have, one of the things I love about this region is we have such a large group of people who are committed to helping people who are in situations, right? We have tons of nonprofits. We have just, like I said, it's the volunteer state. If you move here, the first thing you should probably do is volunteer somewhere. Get plugged in.
Honey, we got more churches than anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
every corner you got a church.
If you can't figure out a way to spend some of your time helping others, then you're not looking. But that's one of the things I really like about it. And I don't know that we'll ever, this a debate for another time. I don't know we'll ever solve homelessness, hunger, and all of those things. But I do know that we can work to always help it, make it better,
right?
And try to help those people that we can help. So no, it's awesome. I have really enjoyed having you on. I know.
Oh wait, let me give some advice.
Yeah, some advice.
Yeah. So the people that do move here.
Yes.
So this is a silly part at the bar, and people always laugh at me when I say this. And you regulars, you're definitely going to understand what I'm talking about. So I tell all the people that moved here, that are just kind of new to the South, if you will, and I say, people here drive the speed limit. Okay. So if it's 25 or if it's 35, I'm sorry, but they drive the speed limit. So don't honk, don't yell and cuss, don't cut us off, don't whip around and whip around to be the first one at the red light, right? And then we're just a Southern. We get the door for people. We take care of our elders, right? We do volunteer. Those are some of the things. And then I tell people, I'm like, please stop making U-turns, okay? Because we have green arrows and you might kill somebody. And then I remind people, especially on the Choteau Road area, we don't have guardrails all the time.
No.
So if you decide to run over, go around somebody in that corner, you might end up not down a ditch, but down the side of a mountain. So these are the things when you're used to, like me in California, all the roads were straight. We had curbs, right? Yeah. Pretty much it would take a lot for you to hurt somebody or take. Sometimes our roads in this area are blind curves that you cannot see. So I just kind of remind people it's slower. We're more kind and careful. And once you kind of accept that, it's just such an amazing community of people.
Which is why people, it's often funny how I know when you step outside of your comfort zone, like where you're at, what you're used to, right? And you go somewhere else, then it feels almost kind of odd. But you got to realize that that's what made that community, and why you were attracted to it in the first place.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, slow down, and slow down not only in your maybe driving in day-to-day life. Like take some time to enjoy our lakes. Take some time
go to our parks. They're magnificent.
Go for a hike. But also know that sometimes when we're talking, we can slow down a little.
Yeah.
We can take time to think about what we're about to say, and maybe use a little bit of that Southern politeness,
Southern charm.
And
I had to learn that.
Yeah, I mean it. There's just definitely something about it, and the biggest thing is I think if you move here, if you're thinking about it, is just know one of your goals should be to become part of the community.
Absolutely.
That's really where I think Knoxville, Farragut, East Tennessee shines, is in community, and I welcome newcomers. And obviously we sell homes, so not of self-interest, but I welcome them because I don't know if the next person who moves here is going to open the next amazing restaurant that we don't have that I would love to enjoy,
right.
Or open some sort of facility like a pickleball
bar.
I mean, somebody comes here with a great idea that just adds to the community.
I agree.
That's what we that's what
It's
we strive
exciting.
for. It is.
Yeah.
It is. So yeah, again, Candace, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
This has been a great conversation. Your story is amazing. It's inspiring. And for somebody, I think it's also, you're a great role model for a local business owner. And so again, I just appreciate you being here. And
thank you.
Again, this is another episode of The Den, brought to you by the Knox Viox Real Estate Group. If you have any questions about the local real estate market, feel free to give us a call. If you have questions about starting a business, if you want to talk to another business owner, reach out to Candace. But especially if you want to have great wine, a great meal, a great old-fashioned, definitely go visit Water and the Wine, and you will not be disappointed. This is Eric Whitener signing off.